So the mission of the Benzie Area Historical Society is to preserve and to collect and to interpret the history of our area. So we do this through a variety of different operations and different pieces of our organization. So we have a museum, and it's the Benzie Area Historical Museum. And we have a series of outreach programs. So we partner with other organizations in the community. We provide a lecture series through a partnership with the Mills Community House. We offer walking tours of the area in the summertime. And then we partner with other organizations like the Oliver Arts Center in Frankfurt. Together we run a program called Artifactory. And we also have programs that we offer for schools. So we partner with the local school systems and schools to provide programming for children who are between kindergarten and 6th grade. So the museum, which is the building we're in now, is an old church. It was originally built in the 1880s, and it was one of the earliest churches in Benzie County. And later, that church became our museum. So in 1969, it was changed from a church. The original church moved next door where they had built a new church, and this building became a museum. So we've been collecting and offering different services to the community since 1969. We also have a one-room schoolhouse nearby called the Drake School, where we offer programming in the summer as well as programs for children and schools. Let me back up just a second and talk a little bit about the facility. So the museum, which has been here since 1969, we put an addition on the museum in the year 2000, which increased our ability to have archival storage. And the archives have been in that addition to this museum since the year 2000. So over the last 26 years, this has been the place where all photographs and archival materials have been stored. Maps and posters and books and manuscripts and letters and other things have all been stored in this building. Eventually, we just started running out of space in that facility. So what we decided a couple of years ago is that maybe we could embark on a project to build a new archives research center. So a year ago, we broke ground on what is now the Archibald Jones Historical Research Center. And through donations from some of our key donors and supporters, we were able to build a new research center, which is now attached to our building and is getting ready for an opening this spring. Yeah, and our storage challenges were pretty big. We had not only all of our maps and flat files in the same room with all of our family boxes and township records and ledgers. Eventually, it just was more than we could handle. We also began to put items in other parts of the museum where we could find convenient space. So all of our school records ended up in another part of the museum. And one of our goals in building a new research center was to be able to bring all of our archives into one facility. Yeah, so when we looked at what our options were for a new research center, one of the key components of that was going to be a new room that would hold all of our archives. And the new research facility has an archives room that is truly, for us, a breakthrough. It's an opportunity for us to be able to expand our collections and to be able to have better organization and access to our collections. Currently, we have about 30,000 items in our archives, and that includes photographs, it includes books, it includes ephemera, it includes many other types of two-dimensional objects. And the plan for the new facility was to put in a mobile high-density shelving system so that we could have more shelf space and have capacity for growth in the future. Sure. So one of the big challenges in our old collections storage environment was that many of the boxes and items were very hard to get to. They would either be too high or they would be in a storage cabinet that was hard to get to. And so when we looked at a mobile storage shelving system, we thought, wow, we really need something that's going to be much more flexible. And we are looking for something that can be easily reached by any of our research volunteers. Well, we really found a solution that we think is not only going to be great for us now, but for many years to come. Particularly, we're looking at the opportunity to be able to adjust our shelving system to the needs of our collections. It used to be that we were trying to do just the opposite, to make sure we could only collect things that could fit in our storage environment. Now we can look at this and say, how can we expand our archives, and knowing that we've got a storage environment that will be flexible enough to accommodate our growth. So as you know, we're still in progress in moving our current archives to our new shelving system. But most of it has already been done. And it was much easier than we thought it was going to be, especially because we found that we could adjust the shelving on the fly as we were figuring out the size of our boxes and the types of things that we collect. We would look at it and say, well, gee, this shelf needs to be a little bit higher, this needs to be a little lower, this one really shouldn't have a backstop, this one should be extending so that we can put larger collections in this shelving. So we've been very happy with how the shelving system has operated for us so far. Yeah, so as we were, for instance, working on moving our boxes, our standard size boxes are about 15 inches deep and about 12 or 14 inches tall. And what we found is that to make them the most accessible, we wanted our shelving to be as high up off the floor as possible and as low from the top as possible, but we still wanted to have multiple rows to have the density we were looking for. So in that regard, Matt and I were able to easily take the clips down that were holding the shelves, and we adjusted almost all the shelves to be exactly the height that we wanted. It was something that we did as we were moving items into this environment, so it was easy to make the changes on the fly. Yeah, we actually found ourselves in a situation where to make the shelving the equal distance between each shelf and the items that we had on them, we were able to use the clip system and invert one of the rows where all the shelves needed to come down by about a half an inch. And it was real easy to do. It just took minutes, and we were able to have all the shelves exactly the way we wanted them. Well, we had not used this type of shelving system before, and what we were hoping when we started using it was that it was going to be flexible and that it was going to have the ability to accommodate all different types and sizes of materials. And as we are using it, we are learning more about how to adjust and easily change shelving so that it fits exactly what we want. Some of our shelves are deeper. They go across an entire row, and some are shallower depth. And we found that some of the items that we have are better suited for the more shallow depth shelving, and some we really require the depth of a full 30 inches in our case of shelving depth. Well, when we began the process of building a new research center and deciding what the dimensions would be for a new archives room, the most important thing for us was to make sure we had enough space for our shelving system, for our flat files, and for our staff and volunteers who do a lot of work in cataloging and scanning and digitizing our collection. So we had these various elements that we wanted to make sure we could accommodate. So we found a great consultant in Casper Corporation. We worked closely with Gary Minogue. He was able to take the engineering drawings for our building and then translate them into recommendations for shelving. And they were very accurate and could easily help us understand what the types of shelving that we would be wanting to put in, including our flat file system. The flat files themselves were a major element of the room because we were looking for a major storage and work table where we could accommodate large size documents. So we designed together the shelving system. It incorporated a flat file table, and it included workspace for our workers, and it included storage. So some additional storage was day-use lockers, which we decided to put into the room, which could be used for both volunteers and for visitors so that they could store their personal effects and make sure that they could work securely with our collections. We also put in a storage cabinet for archiving supplies and a large work counter so that when visitors come, they could approach our archives by asking if there's items that might fit their needs or if they're bringing in items that they would like us to store and archive in the future. Well, what was good about working with Gary is that he was able to give us the very specific ideas about the types of shelving, that we could see it from both the plan view as well as the elevations, so we could understand how tall the cabinets would be and understand just the ergonomics of them, how easy it would be to get into the aisles, how big would the aisles end up being. We ended up putting fixed cabinetry shelving system on the ends of our mobile system, and those have drawers and shelves in them that can accommodate other types of objects. So we came up with a pretty comprehensive set of specifications, and when it came to the execution, the building, one of the key things that we had to incorporate was the track system. And we scheduled, and the Casper worked very closely with our builder to make sure that the track system was available and installed in the proper manner and then protected during construction so that later when the actual mobile system came in, it was very easy to add the carriages and build the system, which all happened on time and on budget. Yeah, we found that there are some items in our collection that really lend themselves to being stored in drawers versus on shelving. And the new drawer system that is at the ends of our mobile system are really wonderful because they're giving us a chance now to be able to put certain types of collections in them. Could be 3D objects, like we now have an eyeglass collection that's in one of the drawers. We have political buttons and collections of that sort, and it lends itself very nicely to be in a drawer. The other items are items directly from our archive, things like daguerreotype photographs or glass plate negatives. Those are the type of items that we don't really want them on shelves where they could be damaged or in some way moved. We want them to be in a secure and safe location. So the drawer system at the ends has really been another great addition to our environment. I think the main thing that we really benefited from was being, we had the good fortune of being able to have a brand new facility that we were designing at the same time that we were making decisions about a new storage system. So we were very fortunate to have the ability to look at the space and plan our space and our storage kind of at the same time. For anyone who's trying to put together a new storage system in an existing space, I think that it still comes down to being able to look very closely at the engineering types of documents and drawings that could be provided through Spacesaver prior to making final decisions. Well, I certainly think that the most important things that museums do is collect and preserve artifacts and items that need to be, protected for the future. And being able to think about that from a standpoint of what types of boxes, what types of shelving, what types of drawers, what types of rooms these need to be in. It's really important to think of all the factors that need to go into it. And it's great to have partners like Spacesaver where we had the opportunity to be able to plan this together. Yeah, so when we began to look for a partner to build a storage system for our archives, we did some interviews with other museums and started asking, well, what's worked for others, because that sometimes helps make good decisions. And we did make a site visit at the Area Historical Society up in Leland, Michigan. And they showed us their Spacesaver storage system. And it's been there for decades. So the fact that it had been able to stand up well over time and provide them with high density storage, we realized that Spacesaver would probably be a great partner. From there, we met with Gary, the representative from Casper Corporation, and Gary gave us a presentation to our collections committee, showed us some of the projects that he's worked on, and explained what the process would be for how to start a proposal process. And interestingly, when we first met with Gary, we were planning to build a high-density storage environment in this very room that I'm in today, which is our meeting room. And we were thinking this would be the right facility for a high-density system. So the earliest drawings that we did with Gary actually provided that same type of storage environment in this room that we're in. As we moved forward with our planning process, we began to realize that we'd be better off if we could build a brand new facility with a ground floor archive system with the tracks that would be embedded in the concrete versus here in this room, which is a second floor in this current museum. And then, as we were beginning this process of looking at options for storage systems, we really needed to learn a lot about how mobile storage works and what current technology is available. And one of the things that we really depended on was the website that Spacesaver has, which was instrumental for us in learning and understanding exactly all the options that we had available. So we learned a lot from using your tools. We downloaded a lot of the brochures and flyers that were available, and we were able to use those to share with our board and our committees so that everyone in our organization had a clear understanding of where we were going. So that was a really great tool that we were able to use as well.